Hi, thank you so much for joining me for this Lunar Manifestations Full Moon Harvesting Ceremony. So what we're going to be doing today is taking about 20 to 30 minutes to hold space and give reflection and take a moment to give thanks for all of the manifestations that are coming into our lives and to take a minute to acknowledge the harvest together. So this is the Sagittarius Full Moon. As you can see, I wore my bright, lush purple just for the occasion. I think I even put purple in my hair for you guys. So the Sagittarius Full Moon. The ritual for the Sagittarius Full Moon was the horizon and beyond. If you are a Golden Otter tribe member, and you get the weekly emails, this will be in your bi-weekly full moon email. If you are a course member, this will be in your Sagittarius Full Moon e-course lesson. So go to that space. So the Sagittarius Full Moon, the horizon and beyond, living on the bright side of life. Are you living life headed towards the horizon, expanding and growing, or staying attached to what is safe or in the past? Life here in the physical is all about contrast. The good days are good when juxtaposed to the days we deem bad, and the great days are wonderful mainly when contrasted against the good. Life is a sliding scale, and when we turn the dial to the vibration of expectancy by looking towards the horizon, we move our energy into a receiving mode by inviting in all that we want to draw into the physical form from the immaterial plane. This is what I talk about when I talk about manifesting our dream life into reality. If we keep our dials turned towards the past, we miss the beauty of being in the present moment and the excitement of what is to come in the future. As the sign of spirituality and awareness, the philosophical Sagittarius mind naturally moves towards enlightenment and openness. Also a sign of abundance. A Sagittarius moon encourages our natural luck and positive nature by driving us to consciously broaden our horizons. This month, in the spirit of wonderstruck Sagittarius that's here to cosmically buoy our faith in the universe, let's all take action by turning our dials to the expectancy frequency. So, with that, if you haven't already done this full moon ritual, now is a great time after this call to go and do it. The full moon ritual for Sagittarius will aid us in expanding our horizons in every way by looking on the bright and playful side of life. So, and if you're in the e-course, obviously go right ahead into your lesson now. So, with life in anything, the more we think our way into doing something, the harder it usually is to manifest. The more we can feel our way into alignment, the quicker things will materialize into our present reality. So one of the things I like to do in this full moon harvesting space is I like to look at the 4-square model. So if you're not sure what I'm talking about, the Life Squared is a bonus training in my e-course. Go down to the bottom of your course and check that out. You'll plant those intentions at the new moon, which is also talked about in a later video. And if you are a tribe member, I'm sure you've heard me talk about this before. So the 4-square is just a blank piece of paper that you should have in front of you that should say health. It's a 4-square, so it's a blank piece of paper. Fold it in half and then fold it in half. So it's a quadrant. And it should say health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression. As I've said before, if those 4 words they don't resonate with you or they aren't your energy vibration, go ahead and just change them. I like to use health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression. In each of the quadrants, personally, I like to write one manifestation in each and see what has come into fruition. I write those during the new moon. And then I like to see what has come into fruition in the last 2 weeks since I planted the seeds of intention during the new moon phase. And then I also like to keep these for reference 6 months from now, because it's really easy in the short term to think, either nothing is happening or it's only a bunch of little things that are happening. When the universe is always bringing to us what is of our highest and best greatest, like what will bring us our greatest self-expression and what will be of the highest and best for everyone involved. And so it can take a little bit of time for the perfect, cooperative components to shuffle into place. And so that's why a 6-month arc is a really great place to, is a really great time frame to look at. It also happens to be the amount of time that it takes the new moon in whatever zodiac sign to move into the full moon of the zodiac sign. And if you've got that 4 square in front of you, it's really easy to go back and look and say, yes, this is what's popping, this is what's happening, and just kind of like harvest that. It's also great to look 2 weeks back. Okay, so normally during these calls, I'm going to open it up to all tribe members. So anybody that wants to step in with questions or anything along those lines, we can do that. Otherwise, I just wanted to open up this space and hold space for you all to start joining me here. Because for me, 6 months ago, that was one of my new moon in Sagittarius intentions. It was to move into a space where I could work in my business, Golden Otter Divinations, full time. And when I say work, I actually mean play, because it does feel more like play to me. And I've moved from Washington, D.C. to rural Africa, where we've been able to set up our life so that everything that I needed, all of those cooperative components I needed to take form or to take shape, have taken form. So I'm able to be here and open this time up for anybody who wants to join me. So, in our health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression quadrants, you're going to want to, during the new moon phase, you're going to want to note as those manifestations take place, and write a date if you could. So if you put something in your health quadrant, for example, I decided to crowd eggs out of my diet. I followed the medical medium Anthony Williams for a lot of like thyroid healing health, and I decided to crowd eggs out of my diet. Now, one of the ways that I decided to do that, because it's not necessarily an easy thing to crowd out after you've already crowded out all of the like super easy things, going vegetarian and or towards the vegan scale. Not quite there, but going towards it. So like meat was really easy to crowd out. And then next to is seafood, and seafood I'm still playing with. Being in rural Africa makes it a little bit easier to get, because there's not as much of an abundance of fresh seafood. I'm an Alaskan girl, so I'm a little bit picky when it comes to that stuff. If anybody else is from the Pacific Northwest, Alaska, or one of the coastal parts of the U.S., or even a coastal country, you might know what I'm talking about. But anyway, so I decided to crowd out eggs during the new moon. So about 6 months ago, I started thinking about making that life change. And then 2 weeks ago, I committed to it. I've been toying with it and playing with it and learning new recipes to cook without eggs and how to crowd those out. And then this was the month that I said, okay, at the beginning of this month, during the new moon, that is going to be one of my intentions for my health quadrant. I'm going to cut eggs completely out of my diet and just see how I feel. It doesn't mean that at a later date I can't add them back in. And now this might just sound like, okay, you're cutting eggs out of your diet. Like, what are you getting at with this? Just bear with me. So I learned recipes like chia eggs are kind of my new jam. Basically, it's 1 tablespoon of chia seeds to 2 tablespoons of water. Little trick that I've learned with chia seeds is if you grind them first or ground them down into a powder, or if you just buy chia powder, it's a lot easier to make the eggs, the chia eggs, move into your recipes a lot easier. And my kids sometimes notice the chia seeds unless I'm making something with like bulk or chocolate or it's not flavored. So that's just a pro tip with mixing chia seeds. But consistently staying to that when I'm cooking, it's a lot easier just to grab an egg and crack an egg than it is to make the chia seed, mix it with water and then set it on the counter for 10 to 20 minutes while it kind of forms the gel. But because I had set the new moon intention and I really wanted that to be a part of my new routine, I said, okay, universe, how can I make this happen instantly? And the universe presented me with some really great ways to make that transition super quickly. So one of the ways, I'm going to give you 3 examples of how the universe conspired to help me crowd eggs out, which may seem super silly and super frivolous, but for my long-term health, as a mother and as a wife and just as an individual, it was an important choice that I was making in my life. In your situation, use the metaphor of an egg for anything that you are hoping to change in your life. So 3 things. 1, here where we live in rural Africa, most of the eggs are fresh from a chicken, and there's no dyeing or artificialness of it. So, when you go to a supermarket in the US or maybe in Europe, you will see like a bleached white egg or maybe an organic like brown egg, but it looks clean. There's no indication that a chicken was ever sitting on that. So there's no chicken feathers, there's no chicken leavings of any kind. The eggs here don't always get that. So that's like step 1. So you kind of are going, oh wow, this is actually coming from an animal. So that was the first clue that the universe gave me just to kind of help my mind. I intellectually knew that. You all know where eggs come from. We all intellectually know where they come from. But just to kind of get that little feeling of like, oh, somebody sat on that. A female hen sat on that egg. Interesting. So I started to feel it. Next, I get a somewhat fertilized egg. And if anybody's ever cracked a chicken egg and thought that it was just going to be an egg and got something else, you know what that's like. Or maybe if you've grown up on a farm. And that for me, again, as a woman, as a mother, there's this new idea coming up with the divine feminine. It's not a new idea, but there's something that's taking root in these collective spheres, the manifestation mindset, the metaphysical mindset, where a lot more attention is being placed on the divine feminine and egg wisdom. So women, we all have eggs every month if you get your cycle. And even if you didn't, maybe you once did. So we naturally cycle each month. And every woman is only ever born with as many eggs as she's going to ever carry throughout her life. And it's actually epigenetics is starting to show us the connection to our grandmothers genetically, because every mother, when she is conceived, has all of the eggs that she's ever going to have at 4 months gestation. So that means that, let's just go with my daughters, for example. All of the eggs that they will ever have in their bodies were actually created in the embryo of my mother, their grandmother. Or in my case, or in your case, take your case, if you're a female. And if you're a male, hey, thanks so much for joining this space and watching this and being a part of this and raising your vibration and being an awesome co-creator with all of us females. So thank you, men. Just shout out to all the conscious men out there. So ladies, I'm talking to you in this, and gentlemen, just bear with us. You can talk about this at a later time and really impress somebody on a date. Or your wife or your partner or anybody at a dinner table or anywhere. Okay, so all of the eggs that you have in your body were actually created in the womb of your grandmother, because when she conceived your mother would have at 4 months of gestation created all of the eggs that your mother would have ever had. So when she gave birth to you, all of your eggs, you were one of those eggs. So you just have to trace the lineage back. Okay, so that's a little snippet on egg wisdom. Kate Northrup talks more about this, and Meg Watterson talks more about this if you'd like to really dive deep. So with me crowding out eggs in my diet as my new moon intention, it was an intention I planted during the new moon 2 weeks ago to really take action on it, and something that I had started germinating 6 months ago and moving towards making this change. First, I was connected to chicken energy here. Next, I got a bad egg. And then third was this influx of egg wisdom coming from other women talking about the rising divine feminine. And it just stuck. It just clicked. And suddenly making a chia seed was not only the more convenient thing for me to do, it was the better feeling thing. And so then it became really, really easy every single day to replace any eggs in any recipes that I had with the chia egg. And so far, my kids haven't noticed. And my spouse hasn't noticed. No one who other people in my family or in my sphere who still eat eggs don't notice. And I don't bring it up. I don't say, hey, that doesn't have an egg in it. But I know that what I'm giving them feels good to me. And it feels good for me to share that with them, even if they don't know that they're eating, chia instead of an egg. So that's just a small example that can seem kind of frivolous, but it really isn't, because it impacts my long-term health. And it was something that 6 months ago, if I look back on my 4 square of life, I see it very clearly in my health sector, where it says, start crowding out meat, dairy, eggs, and just like there's other things on my list, excess sugar. But did I do that all in a 2-week cycle? Absolutely not. How many of you have ever done something we can all do something for 2 weeks. Like, you can will yourself to do something for 2 weeks. But to consistently stick with it for 2 weeks, that's a whole other story. Or I'm sorry, for 6 months. It's a whole other story. And this isn't just like a passing fad that I wanted to try. It was something that I wanted to experiment with and then see if I could make it a reality. And it is now a reality. And anytime, thankfully I'm in a place where anytime I need any kind of reminder, we're really lucky to live in the developing world where we don't see a lot of animal cruelty. A lot of that animal cruelty takes place behind closed doors. So we're really disconnected from our food sources, which I invite all of you this month to examine your relationship with your food sources. Not the types of food, but like where that food is sourced from. Because everything that we put into our physical bodies is a reflection of our belief systems and, the love and energy that we're willing to give out and bring in. So it's a change I wanted to make. And like I was saying, we're really lucky in the developing world to be disconnected from our food sources. But here in the developing world, every day I see what would be qualified as animal abuse in the developed world. Here is just daily life, because it's a necessity. That there's a certain evolution of human behavior, and if it's eat or don't eat, there's not a lot of thought given into how a chicken is transported. And so every day on bikes, I will see 20 to 30 chickens hanging upside down, strapped to the handlebars of bikes, being delivered to places or being bought on the street. And every time I see those chickens, while I can't do anything to, rescue them, I would have to start a chicken farm here in Malawi on my property if I just started buying all these chickens. Maybe I should. Maybe that'll be my next perfect self-expression. Stay tuned for that. What I can do is know that I'm not adding to the demand personally. So I'm gonna go ahead and close this call down and close this recording down and say thank you so much for tuning into this space. If you'd like to reach out to me on Instagram, or if you're in the tribe, you can go ahead and post that in the members section under the Sagittarius Full Moon. You can post your comments. Also, if you're in the e-course, you have access to the members forum. So please do go over there and comment, or leave it under your course notes. And thank you so much for opening up this space for the Sagittarius Full Moon. I hope that this ceremony has aided you in expanding your horizons in every way by looking on the bright and playful side of life. The chicken analogy was not exactly bright and playful, but if you can feel your way into something exciting this week or for the next 6 months, I'd really encourage you to do that. You could also, lastly, for the ritual or for this month, as far as mediumship, if you'd like to reach out to your loved ones in spirit who always encouraged you to expand your horizons by taking on new challenges, or making time for adventures or new friends, ask them out loud or in writing or mentally for guidance or direction during this 2-week full moon phase as we move into the new moon, or 6-month phase, as they will send signs and symbols to illuminate your next steps. So be sure to keep notes as patterns will develop in seemingly insignificant places or events or interactions over the course of this moon and its corresponding new moon in Sagittarius 6 months from now. All right, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, I'm Autumn from Golden Otter Divinations. You can find me on Instagram, Golden Otter Divinations, or right here in this space. All right, thank you so much. Love and light.